Hello there, folks. My name is Spooks, and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. So let's get started. Number 5 was BTS Yet to Come in cinemas, opening with 5.1 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of 7 million and a worldwide total of $10 million. So remember last year when I did a box office chat discussing how BTS had a live concert that was streamed in various movie theaters that costed a ticket for $25? Well, this is the same thing pretty much. Another BTS concert, tickets costed $25, and it managed to make enough money to enter the top 5. I wasn't expecting this. This was nowhere on my radar, so I apologize for that. And I also don't really have much to say about it. It was a concert. It was a event streamed, I believe, for maybe 2 nights out of the weekend, maybe. But it did really well. Cracked the top 5. Very surprising. Not much more else to add here. Number 4 was Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, making 7.8 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of 151 million and a worldwide total of $370 million. So despite falling to number 4, it still did very well this weekend, just dropping around 25% from last weekend. Still incredibly strong hold and exceptional word of mouth. And also this week just pushed this movie's domestic total ahead of the first Puss in Boots film. Hooray, hoorah, congratulations. I'm so happy that this movie was able to do so. The fact that even because, well, the film had obviously a lower opening weekend compared to the first film due to obvious reasons, but the fact that it was able to exceed all expectations but also be able to surpass the first film's entire domestic run is outstanding with the circumstances of its opening weekend. Job well done for that. Worldwide, it is still definitely quite the journey to get to that total, but still, this movie is still doing very well in comparison to other films. It is just roughly $9 million away from surpassing the entire domestic run of How to Train Your Dragon 3 and 11 million away from surpassing the entire domestic run of Sing 2, which I think the film is going to be able to do that. Again, for How to Train Your Dragon 3, the worldwide totals, that's still a bit of a journey, but it's got a shot at surpassing Sing 2's entire $404 million worldwide total, especially since it's now $30 million away worldwide from surpassing the $400 million mark. And seeing how well it's doing internationally in the UK, and I believe it still has to open in Japan. I'll have to look into that, but anyways, the fact that it's still doing this well domestically and is still doing very well internationally with the markets it's now opening in just shows the monumentum and the strength and power this movie has. Just what an incredible run for this film thus far. Number 3 was Avatar: The Way of Water, making $11 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $636 million and a worldwide total of $2.1 billion. Well, folks, it finally happened. Avatar: The Way of Water, after 7 long weeks as the champion of the box office, has finally been dethroned and moved to number 3. Not to say that this is bad or anything, because again, it was number 1 for 7 weeks and is the biggest movie in recent memory. It's just that I think it's safe to say that Avatar is passing the baton to other movies, and it is going to start slowing down for sure. The hype is definitely dying down for the film, and with how many more movies are coming out, especially the coming months, these 2 months especially, I think it's safe to say that Avatar is going to be losing steam. And while, yeah, this was to be expected, it is still not meant to be a negative thing in any way. The film, once again, biggest movie in recent memory. It's a gigantic success. Again, I'm not sure if it's going to get to that Top Gun domestic total. It's definitely close, but also so very far, if you get what I mean. I think it'll get very close, but it's not going to surpass it domestically. But yeah, still doing very well for itself. It's going to be interesting to see how it faces off against the re-release of Titanic this weekend, because James Cameron versus James Cameron, and also Titanic is what's currently stopping this movie from going any further into the highest grossing films of all time worldwide charts. So again, that'll be interesting. But yeah, Avatar's reign at the box office has come to an end, but this is definitely not the end of its success, for sure. Number 2 was 80 for Brady, opening with 12 million this weekend domestically, and that total stays the same worldwide as it has yet to be released in any international countries. So as I was expecting, 80 for Brady was able to exceed some pretty low expectations. This definitely fell in line with stuff like A Man Called Otto and Ticket to Paradise, films geared towards an older audience that honestly, once again, exceeded a lot of expectations. The benefit to this opening as well is that the movie didn't really cost all that much. It only costed $28 million. And given how strong word of mouth is for the film, the film received an A- on Cinema Score. I think we're going to see something very similar to A Man Called Otto and Ticket to Paradise. I feel like this movie's going to have very exceptionally long legs, and word of mouth is just going to carry this movie all the way to victory. And also with some other factors, Super Bowl is this weekend, and Tom Brady announcing his retirement. I think those will also help the movie out in some cases, or maybe even in the long run. So yeah, not a bad start for the film. We'll see where it goes from here, but yeah, 80 for Brady, a pretty decent opening. And finally, let's end the video off with the number 1 movie of the weekend, which was Knock at the Cabin, opening with 14 million this weekend domestically and $21 million worldwide. So yes, there were some benefits and positive things about this opening weekend. Obviously, the fact that this was the first film to dethrone Avatar: The Way of Water and steal the number 1 spot from it. Obviously, that's something to celebrate about. And the fact that the film only costed $20 million and it's already made that money back worldwide is also a very good sign. It is also currently the second biggest opening weekend of the year, topping Plane and Missing, and obviously sitting behind Megan. Now, where I get a bit concerned is a couple of the other things. First off, this is M. Night Shyamalan's lowest opening weekend for any film he released in wide release. That's definitely a bit concerning. I wasn't really sure on how big the word of mouth was. I definitely heard people talk about it, and it wasn't like other films where there was just no buzz for them. But it definitely seemed like this didn't reach that big of an audience as something like Megan, And also another concerning thing is the word of mouth from people who did see the film. Audiences do not really like this movie. They gave it a C on Cinema Score, which is honestly pretty concerning, even though this is a horror thriller of sorts, and you typically expect this type of rating. I honestly wasn't expecting it to get to C. At the very least, a B-, I thought was like the bar, but no. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this movie holds and how word of mouth is on the film. We'll see if it can pull off what Megan or even Smile did, maybe just bounce back from this and hopefully become a bigger box office success, or if it faces the fate of other horror films and plummet and fade into obscurity. I really don't know how this movie is going to do in the long run. There are ways it could benefit and ways where it doesn't benefit. But as for the opening weekend, it's a decent start, Again, this is not a flop by any means. This is not a terrible opening weekend. I just have a bit concerns of how this movie is going to do in the long run with all those negative factors. So yeah, could have been better, yes, but it also could have been a lot worse. We'll just have to see where this movie goes. And those were the top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, but we're not quite done yet as we got another week ahead of us and new movies hitting theaters. And this weekend we really only have one new major wide release. I know, once again, like I said earlier in this video, Titanic is re-releasing this weekend, and while I think that's probably going to shake things up in the top 5, that's really all I have to say about it. It's just the re-release of Titanic. So let's move on to the newest wide release, which is Magic Mike's Last Dance. This is the third film in the Magic Mike franchise and is also the second film this year from Warner Brothers that was originally supposed to be sent straight to HBO Max, but then I guess David Zaslav had a change of heart and decided to give it a theatrical release at the last minute. Now, while I do think this is going to be a better start off to the year than House Party was, I'm not expecting a whole lot much. Don't get me wrong, there's certainly more buzz and has been more marketing and advertising I've seen for this movie than House Party, but it hasn't been enough to where I say that it's been a decent chunk or very good at all. The advertising has been there, but again, just here and there, maybe a couple times I've seen it occasionally, and I've heard a couple people talking about it again here and there. And I also think another thing holding it back is that it's coming out so late after the last one. Like, the last one came out in 2015, like almost a decade ago, and even that movie, while doing well for its budget, did not live up to the heights of the first Magic Mike. So I think we're gonna see probably a pretty solid opening, probably given the budget. I don't think it's that expensive, but I also don't think we're going to see something really special here either. So kind of a mixed bag, really. We'll just have to wait and see how well this movie does, as well as the rest of the movies that land in the top 5 on the next Box Office Chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the results? Were you satisfied? Unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all the social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.